Jenny never imagined that the master she casually apprenticed to in the countryside as a child would turn out to have the greatest swordsmanship in the world. Every disciple who graduated from under him later became a powerful figure who shook the world. Jack was originally a swordsmanship instructor at a rural dojo. He focused every day on teaching the fundamentals of each move. To him, teaching swordsmanship well was his duty. All of his students had become legendary figures. Jenny was the captain of the kingdom's Knights Templar. Serafina was the highest-ranked hero in the Adventurers Guild. Both of them were considered the best in their respective field. At first Jack thought it was because his teaching was good, but because he had lived in the countryside for so long, he was completely unaware of his own abilities. In fact, he had long been at the peak of swordsmanship. He even had the title of Rural Sword Saint. However, until recently, he was completely unaware of this because he had never ventured out into the world. He had always thought that his swordsmanship was just average, only slightly better than the average person. But what Jack didn't expect was Jenny's sudden visit, which changed everything. Jenny was a student Jack had once taught. From her he learned that she was now the captain of the Royal Knights Templar. The reason she came to find Jack was to invite him back into the fold as a special instructor for the knights. Jenny had even gotten the king's approval. At first Jack was thinking about how to refuse. Clearly he felt unqualified for such a role, but with the king's approval, not following the order would surely cause unnecessary trouble. Jack's father stepped in and made the decision for him. He would go to the city and even find a wife. He thought Jenny would be a good choice. This immediately left Jack speechless. They had such a big age gap. Jack could practically be Jenny's father, but no one noticed Jenny's expression at that moment. Soon the two of them took a carriage to the capital. Jack noticed that the sword Jenny was carrying was the one he had given her as a gift. He was surprised that after all this time, she still kept it. Although Jack was pleased, given Jenny's status, using this sword was a bit beneath her. When he learned that it was because she liked it, Jack could only think that to a child, the teacher will always be stronger than the student. The next day, Jenny was on stage introducing Jack. She described her master as incredibly powerful, even as the captain of the knights. She claimed she wasn't as strong as Jack. Hearing this, Jack was immediately stunned. There was no need to praise him like that. He was just an ordinary swordsmanship instructor. How could he possibly be a match for the captain of the knights? With no confidence, he gave his self-introduction. Predictably, it caused some discontent among the people. The most displeased was a man named David. Jack was unaware of this. According to the agreement, he was required to teach swordsmanship 3 times a month so that it wouldn't interfere with his duties at the dojo. Coincidentally, Jack ran into another one of his students. Although Sarah didn't have as high a position as Jenny, she had still become the knight she had always dreamed of. Jack felt proud. Since it wasn't yet time for training, he went back to his house in the countryside for the evening. But when he opened the door, he didn't expect someone else was there. It was another one of his students, former S-rank adventurer John. The reason John was called a former adventurer was because he had just become a father. John had quit his adventurer job because of his newborn son. He had come to take over the dojo. It turned out that this had all been arranged by Jack's father. The plan was for Jack to stay in the city and teach swordsmanship. This would give him more time to find a partner and for his father to have a grandchild sooner. What really left Jack speechless though was that his father even ordered him not to return home until he had a child. So Jack was kicked out of the house. Left with no choice, he went to Jenny for help in finding a place to stay. But what he didn't expect was
私の家に住むというのはダメかなと。
いや、それはダメでしょ。
そうですか。
Jack thought it was just the city people's sense of humor different from country folk. What he didn't know was that Jenny was serious. For her spending time shopping and dining with her master, she already considered it a date. At that moment, Jenny was suddenly called over by someone. Jack, worried about damaging Jenny's image, quickly stepped aside. Serafina was an S-rank adventurer. She and Jenny were natural enemies. They had always looked down on each other. Seeing Jenny with an older man, Serafina thought she'd mock Jenny and see how handsome the old man was. However, her plan backfired. She didn't expect the old man Jenny was speaking of was her own master. What a strange twist of fate. It had been 20 years. Jack almost didn't recognize her. When Serafina was a child, she had no home. Jack had taken her in. Her current success was all thanks to Jack's guidance. Serafina had always wanted to return and visit Jack, but she could never find the opportunity. Jack didn't mind this at all. After all, once people grew up, they became busy. When Serafina learned that Jack had become a knight instructor and was looking for a place to stay, she immediately offered to help. Faced with this situation, Jenny naturally wasn't happy. The two of them started arguing in the street. With no other choice, Jack had to settle for a random inn. The next morning, Jack began his first training session with the knights. But just as he entered, someone came to pick a fight. That someone was David, who clearly didn't like Jack. Becoming an instructor wasn't something just anyone could do. So David decided to test Jack's abilities. When Jack learned that David was the vice captain of the knights, before Jack could say anything, Jenny had already agreed to the challenge on his behalf because she thought it would be a good opportunity for Jack to show his skills. But Jack began to worry. He had never fought anyone from the city. Jack wasn't confident that he could beat David, and he didn't want to embarrass Jenny. As the battle began, Jack just hoped he wouldn't lose too badly. But to his surprise, David's attacks were extremely fierce. The onlookers saw this and thought that Jack's defeat was already inevitable. But just as everyone was thinking this,
力の方向をそらすことができれば がない。大丈夫かい？
After losing the first round to Jack, David went all out. His attacks became sharper and sharper. Jack could truly feel the increased force. For a while he could only block defensively. Although his physical strength didn't match up, Jack quickly found the key. Why were all of David's moves in a straight line? Once he realized that, he saw an opening and easily interrupted David's attack. The battle was over. David admitted defeat. After this confrontation, David was deeply impressed by Jack's strength. He was very curious about how Jack avoided his skills. That evening at the welcome party, David treated everyone to drinks. However, Jack didn't think David had done anything wrong. It was only natural to question an old man. As for how he avoided David's skills, it was actually quite simple. Jack said he just turned his body in the direction David was attacking. It wasn't a big deal. If David had relaxed his technique a bit more, Jack would have been helpless. This made David admire Jack even more. Meanwhile, the two individuals in the dojo were engaged in casual conversation. What Jack didn't know was, except for him, everyone who has had contact with him, they know he is exceptionally strong.
あいつはこの村で終わっちゃいけねえんだ。
ええ、冒険者としていろんな土地に行きましたが、先生を上回る剣士は見たことがないです。
メリルよ、俺はずっと待ってたんだぜ。こんな時が来るのよ。
At first Jenny had no idea about any of this. She only felt that Jack was kind and patient, and that his teaching was extremely detailed and serious. At that time she was still very young, and had no real concept of swordsmanship. She thought every sword instructor taught this way. Day after day she followed Jack through tedious practice. Although it was exhausting, she could clearly feel herself improving. Until this day, when Jack took them into the city to exchange techniques at another dojo, Jenny suddenly realized that the intense clashes she had imagined did not exist at all. It was a completely one-sided domination. By the end of the matches, not a single person on their side had lost. Jenny could easily see through her opponent's openings. Those repetitive attacks looked slow and easy to dodge to her. When it was her turn to strike, she often decided the outcome with a single move. It was far easier than she had ever imagined. Jack was the same. He could spot his opponent's flaws at a glance. Those dull attacks were completely useless against him. After the matches ended, Jenny could not help but ask Jack, is our dojo especially strong? After all, not only did every disciple win, Jack also easily defeated the opposing dojo master. Jack simply replied calmly, they are just followers of a school. He had always taught his disciples to focus on cultivation, rather than obsessing over wins and losses. Right at that moment, Jenny suddenly remembered she had left something at the dojo. She told Jack about it, and turned back alone to retrieve it. When Jenny returned to the dojo to get her item, she found herself surrounded by a group of people. The item she was looking for was being held by a man. She tried to take it back. The man sneered and suggested another match, saying only real combat shows true skill. Jenny was just about to refuse, when the man suddenly launched a sneak attack. At the critical moment, a familiar figure appeared in an instant. It was Jack, who arrived just in time and saved her. The other side's Jack also rushed to the scene, and immediately stopped the farce. He knew very well that even if everyone attacked together, they still would not be able to defeat Jenny's Jack, including himself. This incident deeply shocked Jenny. She had always thought Jack was just very skilled, until she joined the Night Order selection. That vague feeling finally became clear. It turned out she herself was already this strong. Neither fellow candidates nor examiners, not a single one, could defeat her. If I am already this strong, then just how strong must Jack be? This thought kept circling in her mind. After entering the Night Order as the top-ranked recruit, as her horizons gradually expanded, she never once met anyone stronger than Jack. 10 years later, when Jenny finally became the Knight Commander, and obtained the qualification to appoint instructors, the first person she thought of was her mentor from back then. Jenny believed Jack was incredibly powerful. He was the one who most deserved to be invited as a Night Order instructor. Jenny rushed to Jack's residence, only to find that he was not home. She heard that he had gone out to familiarize himself with the city. It turned out Jack had always lived in the countryside. Jenny deliberately arranged for someone to show him around the royal capital. By chance they ran into another disciple, Fies, on the street. At first Jack did not recognize him, because Fies had changed too much, and many years had already passed. Only through conversation did Jack learn that Fies was now the ace of the Mage Corps. This left Jack extremely puzzled. After all, he had only taught him swordsmanship. He thought Fies had long since switched to magic, yet Fies had fused swordsmanship and magic together. Just as Jack was marveling at Fies' innovation, in broad daylight, a robbery suddenly took place.
私がやる。先生が出るまではない。
This was exactly the new school that Fice had pioneered. She said that without Jack's guidance back then, she would never have achieved what she has today. These words brought great comfort to Jack. The next day, as soon as Jack stepped outside, someone called out to him. He turned around and saw a mage who looked like a little girl. She turned out to be Fice's superior, Alice of the Mage Corps. Her actual age was far older than her appearance. She had come specifically to find Jack. On the surface, she said she heard that Fice's swordsmanship teacher had arrived and wanted to meet him, but in truth she had another purpose. Jack and Alice walked to an open training ground. Only then did Alice reveal her real intention. She wanted to personally test Jack's strength.
さすがの反応じゃな。
冗談ってわけじゃなさそうだね。
The girl did not expect this, that she as Alice, the strongest mage in the kingdom, using all of her magic, still could not even touch the corner of Jack's clothes. After all, he looked like nothing more than an ordinary rural sword instructor. What she did not know was that Jack's astonishing dynamic vision was unmatched. No one could compare to him. In front of him everything was full of openings. Seeing that she could not secure victory for a long time, Alice truly began to feel angry. She decided to unleash advanced magic. Feeling this terrifying pressure, Jack was completely stunned. Weren't they supposed to be sparring in a friendly way? While hesitating over whether to take things seriously, he did not expect that seeing no reaction from him, Alice would suddenly withdraw her magic. She immediately apologized, saying she had gotten too carried away. Alice had not expected that Jack's strength was truly as overwhelming as Fice had described. Seeing this situation, Jack, who had never liked fighting, could only let it go. Afterward, Alice arranged for Fice to deliver a gift to Jack. It was an expensive recovery potion. Jack originally wanted to decline, but seeing her firm attitude, he had no choice but to accept. Right at that moment, Jenny suddenly appeared from the side, saying she had something to discuss with Jack. She brought Jack to meet Serafina. Serafina proposed that Jack look after new adventurers as they explored the underground city for the first time and help handle any unexpected situations. After hearing this, Jack immediately thought back to his reckless youth when he explored dungeons on his own and remembered the time he was beaten badly and fled in shame. He was about to turn down the invitation, saying the risk was too high, but what he did not expect was that his students worshipped his strength without question. They left him no room to refuse, so he had no choice but to go with them to the Adventurers Guild. By coincidence, Alice was there as well. It turned out that the recommendation for him to join the guild also had Alice behind the scenes. Seeing so many masters vouch for Jack, the guild master naturally welcomed him warmly, but the assistant beside him had no sense of the situation and insisted on making Jack duel Serafina to prove his strength. Hearing this, Jack laughed right away, thinking that as long as he did not agree, he could brush the matter aside. But Jack did not expect that Serafina had wanted to challenge him for a long time. She led him straight into the arena. Time went back 20 years. Serafina family was killed in a monster attack, and she herself was gravely wounded and near death. If Jack had not stepped in to save her, she would have died long ago. Not to mention that later, through Jack's swordsmanship, she grew into an outstanding adventurer. The reason she chose to become an adventurer was not only to spread the name of Jack's swordsmanship. She had now reached the highest adventurer rank, and it was time to show Jack how far she had come. Just like when Jack taught her swordsmanship back then, Serafina bowed deeply to him. Seeing this, Jack felt deeply satisfied. He never expected that after all her achievements, Serafina would still remember the salute he taught her years ago. Since she wants to face me in a duel, as her teacher I must go all out. Serafina struck first. Using her dual blades and incredible speed to slash non-stop, she launched a fierce assault at Jack. Jack could only keep raising his sword to block, while admiring her swordsmanship in his heart. Without years of hard training, no one could ever reach this level. Even so, amid Serafina's relentless attacks, he precisely found an opening. Jack noticed that Serafina's left-hand sword was not yet fully polished, and immediately focused his offense there. Serafina looked slightly surprised. She did not expect her weakness to be seen so quickly. This duel truly convinced everyone present. They acknowledged that Jack had the ability to train newcomers. The assistant was left speechless in shock. He never imagined Jack's strength was so outstanding. He immediately bowed deeply and apologized to Jack. After defeating Serafina in front of everyone, Jack could no longer refuse the job. Early the next morning, he set out with Serafina, leading several rookie adventurers into the dungeon. At first, Jack still had some concerns, but before long, this group of newcomers had cleared the dungeon. Faced with such smooth progress, Serafina instead felt uneasy. Based on her experience, a dungeon like this should have many monsters, yet they had only encountered a few goblins. Something was wrong with the dungeon. Jack instantly sensed monsters closing in. The magic detection devices of the rookies shattered at once. Jack hurried to warn them, but it was already too late. Only afterward did Jack learn that what they encountered was a special monster, one that had devoured many other monsters. Jack was amused by Serafina's reaction, because they had run into a special monster of overwhelming strength. Jack noticed that Serafina was carrying recovery potions. She was clearly prepared in advance. Jack originally planned to take advantage of Serafina fighting the monster and go save the injured rookie himself. Serafina completely misunderstood his intention. After exchanging a high five, she turned around and went to rescue people. Jack had no time left to explain. He could only choose to face the monster. He then discovered the monster skin was extremely tough. Jack was instead completely suppressed. His arm was already injured. He realized the monster weakness was its face. Just as he tried to attack, he was forced back by flames. The monster swung its tail and struck hard. Jack raised his sword to block and used the momentum to cut off the tail. This only enraged the monster. The monster rammed Jack and crashed wildly through the forest. The monster even carried him into the sky. After great effort, Jack finally returned to the ground. The monster could actually control the terrain. Dozens of meters around instantly turned into lava. The affected area kept expanding. The cave where everyone was hiding quickly became a blazing furnace. Jack understood he could not delay any longer. He had to confront the monster head-on. Seizing the moment, he drove the long sword into the monster's left eye. The monster struggled and escaped, leaving only a broken blade. Unexpectedly, Serafina was already behind it, ready to strike. Fortunately, everyone was safe and unharmed. The president of the Adventurers Guild was completely shocked. While protecting the newcomers, they had actually defeated that monster. Serafina did not claim the credit. She believed it was all thanks to Jack being there. Otherwise, they might all have died. Seeing the president intend to invite him into the guild, Jack quickly waved his hands and refused. Serafina fully understood. How could Jack be content with remaining an ordinary adventurer? Facing the admiration of everyone, Jack did not know how to respond. He truly could not handle the excessive devotion of his female apprentices. Jack asked Sarah to take him to the blacksmith to forge a new weapon. Unexpectedly, Jenny insisted on going along. After all, choosing a sword for the master was a top priority. As the commander of the Night Order, she had to go in person. What surprised Jack was that the blacksmith Sarah brought him to visit turned out to be his former apprentice. The blacksmith was the only disciple older than Jack. He had gone to the dojo to forge a better sword. He wanted to personally experience the feeling of swinging a blade. Sarah first suggested sharpening her short sword. The blacksmith glanced at it and advised her to replace it. The short sword not only had chips but also showed cracks on the surface. Jenny immediately stated that Sarah was not someone who would damage a weapon, relying on his own experience. Jack asked Sarah how the sword felt in her hand. She only felt it was smooth and light. Sarah was actually not good with short swords because she could not feel the weapon weight. She could not swing it accurately. Jack suggested she try a two-handed sword. Sarah's strength was just right to handle a great sword. Jack also needed to choose a suitable weapon for himself. Serafina also appeared at the blacksmith shop. She brought a sharp claw from the monster. She wanted to forge a long sword for Jack. Jenny was extremely angry. Jack's sword should be handled by the Night Order. She would personally pay if necessary. Jack was caught in the middle and felt conflicted. After persuasion from the blacksmith, Jack had no choice but to reluctantly accept. In high spirits, Jack later took photos at the tavern. He was surrounded by many adorable female apprentices. On the way home, Jack caught a thief attempting to steal. Seeing the situation turn bad, she immediately cast magic and caused an explosion. When Jack regained his senses, the thief was already gone. Only a necklace she dropped was left on the ground. Jack never imagined that the apprentices he trained would care so much about his love life, simply because during training, he took out the necklace he had picked up earlier. Sarah misunderstood it as a love token meant for Jenny. In truth, it was only from the last encounter with the thief, something the thief dropped while fleeing in panic. The apprentices did not care about the truth at all. When they saw him together with a little girl, Jenny was extremely shocked, thinking he had an illegitimate daughter outside. Jack, who was misunderstood by Sarah, explained tirelessly and finally made them believe the truth. At the same time, Sarah was surprised that the girl could use magic and even came forward to apologize because the nation placed great importance on magical talent. As long as one entered the magic academy, there would be no worries about food or clothing for life. Fortunately, Jack suffered no real loss. He handed the necklace to the Night Order reception desk. Jack originally thought the matter had nothing to do with him anymore. While checking property records, he unexpectedly ran into the girl named Anna again. Both of them were quite surprised by the coincidence. After hearing that Jack knew where the necklace was, Anna could not hold back and stepped forward to ask for it. Jack explained that the necklace had been turned over to the Night Order headquarters. Jack learned that the necklace was not stolen by Anna. He decided to take Anna to retrieve the lost item. On the way, he noticed the evasive look in Anna's eyes. Jack realized that she could still tell right from wrong. Clearly, she was not beyond saving. After getting the necklace back, Jack decided to have a proper talk with Anna. Their voices attracted Jenny's attention. Before Jack could explain, Jenny had already imagined a whole family drama.
リュウシア、いいところに来てくれた。
先生、この子は
ああ、なんて言えばいいのか。
まさか先生の
いや違うよ
The three of them came together to the reception room. Jenny advised Anna that since she possessed magical talent, the nation would surely provide proper living support. How could such a promising child fall step by step into darkness? Jack gently guided her, encouraging Anna to talk about her past. It turned out the reason Anna became a thief was to raise 5 million to revive her sister. But there was no magic in this world that could bring back the dead. Jack realized Anna had been deceived. Jenny also understood the whole situation. She set off to bring the Mage Corps leader. During this time, Jack felt a bit awkward. He handed Anna some bread to fill her hunger and softly comforted her. Even though she had suffered misfortune before, the future would always bring a turning point. Jack felt quietly pleased because Anna let down her guard. She not only revealed her name willingly, but also returned the necklace to its owner. Seeing the smile on Anna's face, Jack also felt a bit of relief. At that moment, Jenny hurried back with Alice. Anna was full of doubt. How could the child in front of her possibly be the leader of the Mage Corps? Alice did not waste words. She directly used magic to heat the tea on the table to prove her strength. When she learned Anna needed 5 million to revive her sister, Alice stated bluntly that resurrection magic did not exist at all. Even though Anna had seen her sister briefly appear, Alice knew clearly it was only an illusion. That moment of false rebirth actually meant her sister's soul had already been corrupted. After learning the truth, Alice immediately decided to set out. Jenny wanted to go along, but was firmly refused by Alice. The Night Order uniform was far too eye-catching. Upon reaching Shoan hideout, Jack was filled with disbelief. He never expected the enemy to hide in such an obvious place. He regretted not bringing a proper longsword. Alice, however, had full confidence in Jack's skill, believing a wooden sword was more than enough. After breaking in, Alice ignored the few people blocking the way and rushed straight to the basement where the leader was hiding, leaving the rest to Jack. Even with only a wooden longsword in hand, Jack could still fight everyone with ease. Meanwhile, Alice entered the basement and faced the leader. The opponent completely ignored duel rules and suddenly used an ice sealing spell, but this move clearly posed no threat to Alice. Seeing the bracelet glowing on the wrist during casting, Alice immediately understood that the person carried a magic device for controlling objects. Because of this discovery, Alice, who knew the truth, no longer bothered to talk. She directly used her strongest magic to defeat the enemy.
高いおもちゃで本物に勝てると思うとるのがガキなんじゃ。
At the same time, Jack felt helpless facing the group attack, even though it was one against many, and he only held a wooden sword. It posed no threat to him at all. He easily knocked all of them down. Anna could not help but feel shocked. She never expected Jack's strength to be so unfathomable. When she saw Alice come upstairs with the enemy leader, Anna finally learned the truth from them. The so-called resurrection magic did not exist, and the coffin meant to hold her sister remains was completely empty. For Anna, the only thing her sister left behind was this necklace. Although Jack did not yet know Anna well, he sincerely hoped that she could live a happy and fulfilling life. He reassured Anna not to worry, that adults would handle everything. Anna pointed out that thieves were also adults, yet they deceived and exploited the sisters. Jack had no reply. It was true that some adults were morally corrupt, but not everyone was like that. After escorting the captured criminals away, Jack entrusted Anna's future to Alice, and then turned around to go back and rest. However, in the darkness, unnoticed by him, black hands quietly reached toward the prison transport wagon and wiped out all the prisoners on board.
彼はもう十分に働いた。これらを素材とし神の奇跡を再現する。私の手で。
Jack has no clue who the real mastermind is. He shows no sign of fear at all, because the weapon he newly forged is finally complete. The divine weapon is now in his hands. Combined with his masterful swordsmanship, no matter how powerful the enemy is, he can cut through them as if no one stands in his way. Jack soon finds a target to test his new equipment on. The captain of the Mage Order brings critical information. Alice reveals a shocking truth to him. They learn the truth from a priest of the church. It turns out the magical tools used by the thief came from the church. They were personally handed over by the bishop. The condition was that the thief must collect corpses as payment. The bishop's true purpose is to achieve a miracle for the church. Within this church, the essence of a miracle is magic, and the most mysterious art among them is the legendary power to bring the dead back to life. But even the priests doubt this forbidden technique, so he decides to join forces with the knights and the mages to stop the bishop's plan together. The knights will officially summon the bishop tomorrow. Jack knows very well that the task of capturing the bishop will inevitably fall to his own disciple, but in order to retrieve Anna's sister's remains, he accepts this difficult mission without hesitation. Although Anna's sister is already gone forever, she still has her own future to face. Jack originally wanted to give her more care, but he never expected things to turn out this way. That very night, the bishop hurriedly packs his belongings to flee. Fortunately, Jack is already waiting there well prepared, but the number of enemies far exceeds expectations. The church is also equipped with special knights to ensure the resurrection miracle proceeds smoothly. Several knights are ordered to surround Jack. Jack draws his sword and takes the fight seriously. The opponents turn out to be extremely cunning. They use magic to instantly enhance themselves. They intend to take Jack's life. Jack has no other choice. He can only fight with everything he has. This life and death battle officially begins. He sidesteps swiftly, dodging a fatal strike. A flash of steel cuts through the air. The enemy collapses on the spot. Unexpectedly, even more enemies surge in from all sides. Luckily, the reinforcements Jack was waiting for arrive. They are the two disciples he personally trained. Their arrival eases Jack's burden. The tide of battle instantly turns. Enemies fall one after another. Jack takes the chance to charge into the church to stop the bishop. Sadly, he is still one step too late. The bishop has already completed the resurrection ritual. The corpses inside the coffins rise one by one. Anna's sister is among them. They stagger forward toward Jack. Their hollow eyes show no sign of life. Out of respect for the dead, Jack only plans to knock them down, but only by severing their heads. Can their movement be completely stopped? Jack reluctantly sends them off with his own hands. In the end, only Anna's sister remains. Jack gently swings his sword, watching her fade away before his eyes. However, this battle is far from over. The church still has a knight of extraordinary strength. He unleashes a divine skill and closes in on Jack in an instant. That terrifying speed and power leave Jack struggling to keep up. Without a doubt, this is the strongest enemy Jack has ever faced. Jack will not forgive his blasphemy against life because of his strength. He charges forward without hesitation, launching the first attack. The sword in his hand precisely strikes the opponent's arm. Unexpectedly, the knight stabs his own body with a dagger. His body gains the blessing of enhancement magic. Both speed and strength rise dramatically. Jack can no longer fully withstand the assault. New wounds keep appearing across his body. Jack will never give up. The battle between him and the enemy reaches its climax. In this life and death confrontation, only one side can prevail. In the end, Jack's swordsmanship proves superior. He first precisely pierces the opponent's arm, then follows up with a sweeping strike straight at the chest. The knight drops to one knee after suffering a heavy blow, but sheer willpower forces him back to his feet, even covered in wounds. He still drags his broken body step by step toward Jack. For the miracle he believes in, he is willing to gamble his life. Jack watches the man before him with confusion, until the knight finally collapses from exhaustion. He still clings to his belief as this battle comes to an end. The bishop outside has already been captured by Jack's disciples. In the name of creating miracles to save the kingdom, the bishop has gone mad enough to experiment on the dead. In Jack's eyes, there is only confusion and shock, but what pains him most is that he could not help Anna. Clearly, Jack feels somewhat dejected. Alice delivers the reward she promised to Jack. What Jack never expected is that Alice is actually a wealthy tycoon. She directly gives him a house. The moment they push the door open, they see Anna busy cleaning inside. It turns out Anna plans to apply to a magic academy. According to the rules, she needs a guardian to vouch for her. This responsibility naturally falls on Jack. From now on, the two of them will live under the same roof, becoming companions who spend every day together. Anna quietly accepts this established reality. This is the warmest and most comforting day Jack has ever experienced. He not only has a home of his own, he has also become the legal guardian of Anna. In order to play the new role of a father properly, Jack carefully plans an entire day of daily life. But when the two sit across from each other at the table, there is still a hint of awkwardness in the air. There is still a clear sense of distance between them. After all, not long ago, Anna was still an orphan with no one to rely on. Compared with others her age, she seems overly mature and sensible. Anna lives a very simple daily life. She washes her clothes by herself. She even asks for permission before using the bathroom, only going after Jack agrees. Jack feels this way of getting along is too stiff. When it comes to taking care of Anna, he realizes he needs to be more attentive. So he takes Anna out shopping and for barbecue. He also makes a special trip to the theater to watch a show. This finally gives them shared topics to talk about. Jack originally thinks life will continue like this. He believes he and Anna will slowly build a closer bond. Until this day, he takes Anna to register at the Magic Academy. The two tour the campus with a mentor. Because of a recommendation letter from the mage commander, Anna is exempt from the entrance evaluation, but the choice of magic system must still be made by her. Anna shows strong talent in fire magic. She is clearly more suited for attack-type magic. The academy magic systems are divided into 5 major categories. Fire magic belongs to the attack category, so Anna is most suitable for learning attack magic. As for whether to live on campus, Jack accompanies Anna to carefully tour the dormitory. The grand decoration amazes Anna. A clean, bright cafeteria and fully equipped bathrooms impress her. Compared with Jack's home, the academy dormitory feels truly luxurious. Although Jack also thinks Anna should live on campus, the issue of getting along with other students makes her feel uneasy, so she keeps this option open for now. Jack takes Anna out to eat again. They run into his disciple Serafina at the restaurant. Jack also tells Serafina about Anna. Serafina reacts with unexpected surprise. Taking advantage of this meeting, Jack originally wants Serafina to encourage Anna. Unexpectedly, Serafina actually puts pressure on her. After all, her mentor has become her guardian. Anna must not lose to anyone at the Magic Academy. Serafina is quite satisfied with Anna's performance because there is determination in her eyes. Her future looks bright. Jack begins to feel troubled. Those words from Serafina force him to reconsider the dormitory arrangement. Jack goes to discuss countermeasures with Jenny. Jenny is also surprised after hearing this. She does not expect someone to move in with Jack first, but after learning Jack is only Anna guardian, Jenny finally feels relieved. Sarah suggests letting Anna live on campus, which makes commuting easier and also saves on food expenses. As for what Jack is worried about, how Anna will get along with other students. David suggests letting Anna break through herself. Seeing this, Jenny immediately agrees and expresses her support. However, this is only his personal view, not driven by selfish motives. After hearing this, Jack seems shaken. In the end, he decides to consult the mage commander. The advice he receives is the same. A wave of disappointment rises in Jack's heart. He originally hopes to become the ideal parent in Anna's eyes, but in a blink he is about to become an empty nest parent. But as a true father, he must think about his daughter's future. Jack has already made up his mind. Just as he steps into the house, Anna points to the drawer nearby. Strange noises are coming from inside. Jack goes over and opens it, and catches sight of a hole. 3 fat rats suddenly rush out. Anna is already used to this. She does not take it seriously at all, but Jack is extremely nervous. He quickly blocks the hole, pushes open the windows and doors, and grabs a broom to chase the rats. Anna does not understand why Jack is so tense. Jack explains that rats can bite and spread disease. Although Anna used to live among rats, now he will never let her live that way again. Before long, Jack drives one rat outside, but the other 2 hide under the table. Jack takes off his coat and prepares to catch them himself. In order to catch the rats, he even flips the table over, successfully pinning one of them. The last one takes the chance to run into the bathroom. Jack takes a deep breath and focuses fully on the chase, but unexpectedly, even with his superb sword skills, he is helplessly toyed with by a single rat. After all, rats do not think like humans. Their behavior is hard to predict. Thanks to Anna's timely burst of fire, Jack finally catches the rat. Afterward, Jack also places rat poison. Only then does he feel at ease preparing dinner. This rat-catching experience makes Jack feel relieved. In Anna's eyes, it is only a small effort, but she still chooses to lend a hand. This finally puts Jack worried heart at ease. Anna understands how to cooperate with others, so the housing concern is naturally resolved. Just like when Jack prepares dinner, Anna always comes over to help at the right time. The only thing that makes Jack feel slightly lonely is that the final outcome still deeply moves him. Although the academy provides 3 meals a day, Anna still wants to improve her cooking skills because she has never thought about leaving this home. She only wants to stay by Jack's side and actively takes on more housework. If she is not around and rats enter the house again, the place would definitely be a mess. Jack often asks what she wants to eat. Anna simply says she wants something warm.
わかった。スープとかシチューとかポトフとか毎日作ろう。
Jenny suddenly suggested getting Jack some new clothes. Turns out she used her status as a royal envoy. She made up an excuse to have Jack accompany her to receive guests. That way she could go out with him openly. Jack usually dressed casually like this, but meeting royalty required formal wear. Jack planned to find time to handle it himself. Jenny did not allow that. She had already ordered his clothes in advance. Tomorrow she would personally take him to the shop. That settled it. Only then did she leave satisfied. Sarah and David had noticed something was off. Jenny clearly cared deeply about Jack. Even Anna at home could tell. Jack planned to take Anna with him the next day, but Anna firmly refused. She did not want to get in the way. Only Jack was still completely clueless, just as Anna predicted. Jenny showed up the next day carefully dressed, with 2 obvious onlookers following behind. Jack and Jenny entered a clothing shop first. Jenny's taste was honestly hard to understand. The shop owner kept praising how great it looked. For him, as long as he sold the clothes, it was fine. He did not care how Jack ended up looking. Jack finally understood. He had to choose for himself. He picked a simple and clean outfit and asked the owner to hold it for him. Jenny still wanted to keep shopping with Jack. That was her real goal. After shopping, they had dinner together. That was basically a date. Watching all this, Sarah and David finally realized Jenny's feelings for Jack were far from simple. In the end, Jack still chose the first outfit. Jenny's true intention was the date. The meal Jack owed her from years ago was finally paid back. Jack packed up and prepared to head home. Jenny stood there watching him leave. That was when David stepped in. He decided to help Jenny so she could make a decision sooner and asked her directly.
団長、一つ伺ってもよろしいですか。
なんでしょう。
団長はベリル殿のことをどう思われているのですか。
Jenny's answer was simple. She just wanted Jack to be happy. The next day, at the Night Order headquarters, Jenny suddenly challenged Jack to a duel. If she won, she would confess her feelings, meaning she would tell Jack she loved him. When Jack stepped onto the field, the master and student duel began. Jack thought it was just a warm-up spar. Jenny was already the Knight Commander. If he went all out, she might not be able to handle it. But Jenny looked deadly serious. She wanted Jack to see her true strength. She now carried the title Lightning Swift.
さすがですね。ほとんどの相手なら今ので決まってしまうのですが。
After blocking just one strike, Jack was forced to take it seriously. Her speed was far beyond his expectations. Jack could not find a single opening. He had to change his usual fighting style and focus fully on defending against her attacks. The more they exchanged blows, the more he was amazed by her talent. In a brief lapse, his wooden sword was knocked away, and his balance broke. Luckily, Jack adjusted his footing quickly and steadied himself. To outsiders, Jenny clearly had the upper hand. Even though Jack could read her moves, her explosive speed from her legs left him unable to respond in time. Thankfully, Jack had deep combat experience experience. To win he had to break conventional thinking. He seized the moment and grabbed her cloak. Jenny snapped out of her confidence, only to find herself on the ground. Jack's victory was far from textbook. Real combat has no fixed rules. Jenny lost mainly due to lack of experience. Against someone as seasoned as Jack she could only accept defeat. Jack turned and went to eat. Sarah rushed over to ask about the confession. Jenny said she only wanted Jack to come back, but she had lost badly. After getting the answer, Sarah ran off. David saw through the lie. Jenny had planned to confess to Jack. She truly wanted him to be happy, but the person standing beside Jack did not have to be her. Just like in the duel earlier, she could not even say who she hoped would win. When Jack got home, he talked about what happened today. Anna immediately understood. Jenny was deliberately showing herself off. She clearly wanted to be the only one in Jack's heart, especially since she was always taking care of him.
それって自分のことだけを見てほしかったのかも。
Anna's Magic Academy was about to start. She got a brand new uniform, along with all the required textbooks. That's when Jack suddenly noticed. Every other student seemed to have a backpack, but Anna was only carrying a cloth bag. Jack felt that just wasn't right. Even though he lived very frugally, he would keep using a cup even if it cracked. But what other kids had, his daughter shouldn't go without. So he went to a shop that specialized in backpacks. The clerk showed him a really nice one, but the price was shocking. Almost enough to drain all his savings. There were cheaper sale items right next to it. He couldn't make up his mind. As a father, he wanted the very best life for his daughter, but his small paycheck made that hard. Jack wasn't the only one struggling. He ran into Serafina by chance. She was dealing with a tricky job. If Jack helped her, she was confident it would succeed, and the payoff would be huge. Jack was desperate for money, so he agreed without hesitation. Serafina's mission was to capture a white horse alive. Its coat was pure snow white, a gift meant for the royal family. The employer was the kingdom itself, so the reward was incredibly generous, enough to solve Jack's money problems. Serafina casually mentioned one more thing. Jack wasn't the only one job hunting lately. He didn't think much of it. The two headed to where the white horse was seen. After preparing their gear, they went deep into the forest. They guessed the horse would come to drink water, so they planned an ambush from front and back. Serafina would fire an arrow from behind to scare it, forcing the horse to charge forward. Jack would block it head-on with a rope net. With the plan set, they moved into position. They waited silently in the grass. The target soon appeared. Things didn't go as expected. Serafina's arrow hit its mark perfectly, but trouble broke out on Jack's side. The horse leapt over him like a hurdle. Jack snapped out of his shock. He rushed in again and threw the net. The horse twisted its head and dodged it cleanly. Left with no choice, Jack jumped and grabbed its neck. Just as he tried to mount, the horse threw him to the ground again. It even slipped past Serafina's lasso with ease. The two chased it relentlessly, all the way to the edge of a cliff. Serafina dashed ahead and drew her blade. Cold steel flashed in the air, blinding the horse for a split second. Jack was already set behind it, waiting for the frightened horse to charge straight at him. But once again things went sideways. The horse spun and leapt gracefully, pulling off an unbelievable move, landing on a stone pillar across the gap. Then disaster struck. The pillar began to crumble. Jack jumped after it without hesitation. Thankfully both man and horse were unharmed. This horse was unusually perceptive. It seemed to understand Jack's thoughts. They were both stuck now, so why not call a truce? Luckily there was a large tree nearby. Jack cut it down with his sword. The trunk fell perfectly across the river. The white horse nodded, clearly impressed by Jack. They started crossing together. Halfway across, Jack suddenly slipped. The horse saved him just in time. After that perfect teamwork, the mission was completed in the most unexpected way. The white horse was successfully tamed by Jack, and Jack finally received his reward. Serafina smiled and said mysteriously, there was a surprise waiting at home. Jack was completely confused. Buying the backpack still came first. Anna was overjoyed when she got it, and she had a gift for Jack too. A brand new ceramic beer mug, bought with the money she earned herself. That's when he realized the person Serafina mentioned looking for work was Anna all along. Jack sipped his beer and praised the taste, so moved his eyes filled with tears. The next day Jack reported to the Night Order. Jenny personally led him to the Night Order in a neighboring kingdom to prepare for an upcoming diplomatic visit. What Jack didn't expect was that wherever he went, he kept running into students he once taught.
あなたの愛弟子ルゼマーブルハートですよ。
あっちゃー。
Leora had only trained at Jack's dojo for a year and a half by the time they met again. She had already risen to vice commander of the Church Knight Order. The man beside her was the Knight Commander himself. To make sure the upcoming escort mission went smoothly, the two arrived early to get familiar with the area. Leora hoped Jack would stay by her side, even though Jenny clearly wasn't willing to step aside. Leora still found Jack after he got off work. The two strolled through town at an easy pace. Seeing Jack again put Leora in a great mood, but when she glanced at children playing by the river, a hint of helplessness crossed her face. Jack didn't really notice. He still needed to pick up the formal outfit he had ordered. To prepare for the upcoming escort mission, the kingdom's princess would parade through the city, alongside a prince from a neighboring nation. Jack would stay close to them at all times. Princess and prince got along surprisingly well. Their first meeting went smoothly. This wasn't the moment for Jack to be curious. He had an important role to play. He was acting as bait. Jack had to ride in the front carriage. Luckily, the entire street had already been sealed off, so he wasn't too worried about attackers in the crowd. But amid the noise and excitement, Jack caught something that fell off. A suspicious figure flashed by. He hoped it was just his imagination. Still, he didn't let his guard down. When the procession reached the theater, Jack immediately reported what he sensed to Jenny. He was certain it was killing intent. David ordered heightened alert at once. Sure enough, when the princess and prince stepped out again, several men in black appeared in the center of the square. They rushed straight toward the royal pair. Swords were drawn in an instant. No one expected these men to be decoys. Their goal was to break Jack's formation. The real assassins were already dropping from the rooftops. They carried smoke bombs, sliding down ropes at high speed. Once the smoke filled the square, attacks could come from any direction. Jack became the first target. Their blades were coated in deadly poison. Every one of them was a seasoned killer. They even used sand to blind their opponents. Even Jack took a hard hit at first. One mistake and he was kicked in a vital spot. Jack knew there were no rules in real combat. He switched tactics instantly, no longer sticking to formal swordplay. A brutal elbow smashed straight into the attacker's head. He flowed into the move and disarmed him, then finished with a clean slash to the lower body. The man in black was taken out just like that. Over on David's side, visibility was poor, but thanks to Jack's guidance these past days, he relied on sound alone, still locking onto his enemy precisely. A powerful spinning slash ended the fight. Jenny put her daily sparring with Jack to use, applying it directly in real combat. Even when her cloak was grabbed, she stayed calm, dodging each strike with sharp footwork and finishing her opponent cleanly. The scene then cut to the Church Knight Order. The commander used his massive build, forcing his enemy back with sheer strength, but the moment he pulled off the mask, the face underneath shocked him. That split second of hesitation let the enemy vanish into the crowd. At the same time, Leora easily took down the final attacker. Jenny had hoped to extract the mastermind's identity from one of the men in black, but the moment they realized the mission failed, they chose death without hesitation. Jack got off work like usual. The moment he stepped inside, he saw Alice sitting at the table. She brought the latest intel. The truth behind the assassination attempt was clear. Everything traced back to the neighboring kingdom. That country was torn apart by a power struggle. The Pope and the King stood on opposite sides. The Pope held strong religious authority, but real power still belonged to the King. It was a state ruled by crown and church. The King had to respect the church, yet all official appointments stayed under his control. To seize full control of the country, the church planned to kill the crown prince and place the church-backed second prince on the throne. To Jack, this theory made perfect sense. He had crossed paths with church fighters before. He knew they would die for their faith. That meant a second attack was coming, almost guaranteed. Still, Jack was not worried. If the prince had any judgment at all, he would cancel the trip. What Jack did not expect was Leora visiting Jenny that same night. She carefully asked about the next day's schedule. As one of Jack's former students, she praised her master just a little. That alone earned Jenny's trust. Her respect for Jack was genuine. When facing children, she showed pure kindness. With just a few gentle words, she got key information from a lost boy, then helped him find his mother with Jenny. Leora often spent time at the orphanage. Over time, she grew deeply attached to those children. The next morning, Jack received shocking news. The princess and prince would go ahead as planned. It was the prince's decision. Royal dignity came first. He refused to back down. Jack increased the number of escorts. The foreign knight commander shared more intel. The assassin who escaped yesterday was their former vice commander. That made Jack even more uneasy. But for now, he had to react on the fly. Following the schedule, the royal pair arrived at farmland. They stepped down to inspect the crops. The wheat fields offered perfect cover. Knights still guarded the perimeter. Jack thought it would pass safely. Then an arrow cut through the air. A storm of arrows followed. Swords came up in a desperate defense. Even Leora was pinned down. Archers kept up the pressure. Bladed assassins closed in silently. Jack went fully alert. This time he held nothing back. Every strike aimed to kill. Close combat and arrows hit at once. Jack was always one step from danger. The enemy archers cared only about success, even shooting their own allies. Jack just had to hold the line and send one man to deal with the archers. Jack ordered the foreign commander forward. He wondered why reinforcements never came, not knowing every guard was already dead. After the last assassin fell, Jack told Jenny to evacuate the royals. He stayed behind alone. Jack chose to remain for another reason. After this battle, he sensed a traitor inside. He needed to know the truth and whether his own student was the traitor.
先生、やっぱりお強いですね。
いや、数が多くて難儀したよ。でもこれでようやく話せるね。
Jack never imagined that one day he would be forced to raise his sword against his own student. That student, now the vice captain of a neighboring kingdom's night order, had long been planted by the church as a spy among the guards. Jack wanted nothing more than to avoid hurting her. Holding a purely defensive stance with a single sword, he easily deflected every strike she threw. He hoped she would back down on her own, but then he learned the truth about the mission she carried. It meant life or death for the orphanage children. The church's plot to assassinate the prince used those children as hostages, forcing Leora to become their inside agent. When Jack realized this, he was furious. His anger was aimed at the church pulling the strings, treating his beloved student and innocent children as disposable tools. But that did not mean he would step aside. Even if the enemy before him was his own student, the convictions they swore to protect had already turned into blades pointed at each other. Leora held a slight advantage. Her shield made her solid on offense and defense, but it also limited her reach. Jack caught that weakness instantly. This was the key to turning the fight. All he needed was one opening, the moment to end it. His strike only took away her ability to move. She begged Jack to end her life, but that was never an option for him. As her master, he told her to live and atone for her sins. Right at that moment, the captain of the Sven Knight Order arrived in time, using magic to stabilize Leora's wounds. Jack then told him the full truth, and the two agreed to keep everything secret. Leora was the captain's sworn sister. After this incident, he finally saw the church for what it was. The Pope viewed believers' lives as mere tools. The Sven Knights would consider backing the prince. Jack hoped Leora would use her resolve in the right way. That was the lesson he most wanted to pass on. Leora finally let go, choosing to live on, to witness the justice she believed in. When Jack returned to Jenny, the enemies had already been wiped out. As for Leora's injuries, Jack blamed them on the enemy. The crisis was finally resolved. Thanks to his service as a guard, Jack soon received an invitation from the palace. The king invited him to a royal banquet, an honor he could not refuse. The scale of it was unlike anything he had ever seen. His palms were sweating with nerves, while Jenny looked completely at ease, like she was in her own living room. As her master, Jack refused to lose in presence to his student. Soon the king and princess took their seats, and the conversation quietly shifted to Jack. The princess was to be married off to a neighboring kingdom, a royal alliance of great importance. Combined with Jack's recent achievements, he naturally earned the king's favor. The king planned to form a royal escort unit, and Jack was given a spot. Deep down, he did not want the role. Thankfully, Jenny stepped in to help him, because only if Jack stayed with the Night Order could she see him every day. At the same time, the king began rewarding Jack, granting him the title Sword Saint. With the king's official recognition, the title suddenly carried real weight. Jack had thought it was just Jenny talking him up. The king also casually gifted him a crystal plate. Jack did not think much of it. To him, no fancy plate could beat the pot his daughter cooked with more than any royal reward. He cared most about his daughter praising him just once.
俺はこういう普通の暮らしが好きなんだ。